704 was one of our most popular episodes. I mean, to no surprise, logistics is applicable to every single thing out there. The only reason why you can even hear my voice is because of a successful logistics train. The reason why you got breakfast this morning is because of a successful logistics train. That car you drive, whether you drive a 2002 Corolla or you drive a 2026 Rolls-Royce Wraith, it's only possible because of a successful logistics train. So logistics is nominally the lifeblood of human expansion. So it makes sense why the thousands and thousands of you enjoyed the episode so much. Yeah, I don't want to do too much when it comes to part two in the gold portion of this. But you guys cover such a large spectrum of different things. Like some of you are in aerospace, some of you are defense partners, some of you are capital allocators, some of you are educators, some of you are professors, which there is a difference. Some of you have your own organizations that you're trying to understand the basics of logistics. Some of you are just supporting here. Either way, I think it's really important to hit one big part when we talk about logistics, and that is cadence beats heroics. Now, there's this thing called throughput, and it simply says your biggest focus should be the number of units that you can ship in any given time. Like how many reps can you put out? Like how much energy do you have to distribute at any given time? And I encourage you to use the framework, even though it's kind of militaristic in nature, that we coined a couple years ago, reps, and it stands for repeatable, efficient, predictable, sustainable systems. And we have people like John Boyd to thank for the establishment of the OODA loop and giving us a different perspective of like battle space intelligence. Now, as a young officer, I always thought it was important to take to translate military life to civilian life too. But I think that same notion, even being civilian now, applies to everyone else, because you still have to do logistics in some way. Say the logistics of getting your kid to school when you only have one vehicle and your wife has to work or your husband have to work. The logistics of making your day just fit together where you feel like you have more responsibility than time. The logistics of coordinating a long-term dating schedule, a long-distance dating schedule, excuse me. So logistics translates in a different way for everyone, but I think taking the militaristic approach of reps and then understanding throughput, like how much you can do in a small amount of time, puts you in not only a position to get better every single day, but to get better than your competition. Right? Because that's really what it is. And if you're not a competitor, if you don't have the desire to win, if you don't think you're the very best, then I have to tell you, my friend, you are in the wrong place. Okay, you've landed on the wrong podcast. You landed on the wrong episode. You might want to go find one of those frilly, girly podcasts that kind of just make you feel better and don't give you any actionable intel. That's not really Endure Beyond. And that's what we're going to get into with this part of the gold episode. So maintenance is the real civilization test. And that's really the core part of 704, especially for the public access episode, but for this one too, because we arrive at the central act. And I think at this point is where the tourists leave the room, because the public loves building, right? But operators, this human hybrid archetype that we're developing, it truly respects maintaining. Okay, and you probably remember from the primary episode, our allegory of, I mean, I guess more like a metaphor, our metaphor of the bridge, right? The Clark Kent type naval captain looking over his bridge with the curl and the chiseled jaw and his all whites for some reason, while they're going to war. But we think about how the birds take off, right? When we're enabling sorties for the the non-military people, sorties is just when the plane takes off, does its mission, and comes back. But in order for that to happen, in order to establish air power, what I believe matters most are the people that maintain the birds, the enablers. Okay, because if that maintainer's having a bad night, his girlfriend just broke up with him, his finances aren't good, his life's not really together, he's gonna have a lapse in judgment when it comes to maintaining that bird. He may forget the switch on the bomb system or on the AIM 120s. He may he may forget to check the pilot's ejection seat. Yes, the pilot has a responsibility to make sure those basic safeties are good for him as well, because it's technically his bird. But the maintainer has an equal responsibility to have attention to detail and do their job. But if life be life and they can't discriminate or segregate the two, then that becomes a problem. But the maintenance key, the maintenance of social life, the maintenance of romantic life is what enables him to do his actual patriotic duty better. And the same thing with the enablement of that bird, whether that's a 15, a 22, a 35, or a Thunderbird. I think the point here, that last one was a joke. I meant to say like a Zapdos, like a Pokemon, but for a little Freudian slip there. But I do think that we need to put more of an emphasis on maintenance and how it enables these missions, because maintenance is repetitive, okay, but building is visible. It's what's celebrated. It's what gets the ceremonies. It's what gets the speech. But maintenance is repetitive. It's expected. It gets checklists. It gets the logbook. Building will say, "Hey, look what we created." Where maintenance will ask, "Can you keep it alive?" And if you know anything about the Endure Beyond culture, we solve tough problems and answer tough questions and answer tough issues by asking questions. It's not proven by construction, it's proven by maintenance. Like, getting there is one thing, but staying there is a whole nother. It's the same concept of performance physiology. Obtaining something is far more difficult if you don't know how to maintain something. So you can be given something accidentally. You can somehow have the genetic capabilities to ward off obesity and disease for the first, let's say, 2.5 decades of your life. And then it eventually catches up with you. Maybe you've just gotten lucky and you get an inheritance and now you're a millionaire just by somebody else's hard work and your name on a piece of paper. But the challenge there is not if you're getting it. The challenge is how you're going to keep it and, more importantly, multiply it. So we always go back to that number one rule of performance physiology, that it's more difficult to maintain than it is to obtain. It requires more energy, it requires more resource, but most importantly, it requires the identity of the individual that is slated to make it possible. Like, that maintainer has to have the identity of a patriot to know, like, hey, even though I'm going through all this shit in my personal life and there's a lot of stuff happening and like my girl thinks I'm a loser, my friends aren't talking to me, like I'm dealing with some addictions and, I'm just trying to make enough here and get my benefits together so I can get my life straight. He recognizes even though all that's happening, he still has an obligation to his country and to that bird and to that pilot to make sure that they can go off and fight the war and come back safely. So that's one of the most important parts about 704 and the understanding of maintenance. Like, we can speak all day about the lunar outposts. We can talk all day about large scale organizations. We can talk all day about the occupation of Mars until we're blue in the freaking face. But without maintenance, we don't have any mission. We don't have any outposts. We don't have any civilization. We don't have interplanetary habitation. We have a momentary blip, and all of the efforts would have been wasted. Think about, like, if that pilot takes off and explodes. He takes off and immediately nosedives. Right? It doesn't mean anything at that point. That's a couple mil and the life of, I don't know, I'm just going to assume he's a good man, down the toilet. So maintenance includes inspection, cleaning, repair, replacement, lubrication where possible, sealing, filtering, calibration, software updates, anomaly tracking, inventory control, storage, redundancy, tool discipline, crew training, documentation, waste management, spare parts tracking, emotional monitoring, emergency procedures, all the unglamorous acts that keep the glamorous mission from becoming wreckage with branding. And I think we can take that same metaphor and apply it to everyday life. Maintenance is required in a relationship, whether you're a marriage of 5, 10, 20 years, especially if you're a marriage of 5, 10, 20 years, whether you are just starting off a relationship, whether you are maintaining the human platform. In order for these things to survive in the long term, it requires maintenance. It's not always the most glamorous and it's not always the most comfortable, but it is the most necessary. And civilization begins when someone stays behind to maintain the miracle. So the future will be built by maintainers, not merely visionaries. Vision matters, yes. I'm a visionary. I'm not saying this is anti-vision. Vision opens a horizon, it gives direction, it creates courage, it recruits effort. But vision without maintenance becomes debris. And it becomes a decaying monument to a moment that could not become a system. The maintainer is the person who protects vision from its own vanity. And that is one of the great moral corrections of the 700 series. We must stop worshiping only the person who announces the future, the face of it, but we must also honor the person who keeps the oxygen system functional. who checks seals, logs anomalies, updates procedures, calibrates instruments, cleans dust from a critical surface, who notices a vibration, who stores tools properly, who orders spares before failure becomes drama, the person who says, no, we are not skipping inspection because the timeline is emotionally important. That person is civilization. The operator is not too proud for maintenance. The operator understands maintenance as command. A weak person sees maintenance as beneath them. A strong person sees maintenance as stewardship. A theatrical leader wants to be seen building, whereas a serious leader wants the system to survive when he is not in the room. And that is the difference. I believe, and this is a part of one of the pillars of the human hybrid operator, cislunar literacy, that the moon will punish poor maintenance, just based upon the research that I've ingested over the past year and a half. Think about our episode on lunar dust. Dust will enter, thermal cycles will stress materials, radiation will degrade systems, moving parts will wear, filters will clog, batteries will age, seals will harden, software will need updates, sensors will drift, rovers will break, habitat systems will require constant care. The environment will not pause because the crew has already worked a long day. The moon does not care that everyone is tired. The moon does not care that the maintenance window is inconvenient. The moon does not care that the replacement part is in procurement review. But think about that as your life. Your life, and we know, you know as well as I do, life be lifing. It does not care about how you feel, what you're going through, and in fact, it might even double down when you're going through a rough situation. So maintenance is really important. Mental maintenance, physical maintenance, spiritual maintenance, sexual maintenance, because that's one that's considered pretty taboo. People don't like talking about. There's a pretty healthy part of human living and relationships, especially. You have intellectual maintenance. I mean, you could tie maintenance to all of them. They are extremely important. Maintenance is where civilization stops pretending. And this is why logistics is the lifeblood of human expansion. Not because logistics is more inspiring than vision, because logistics decides whether vision gets to, dare I say it, endure beyond.